Still putting some finishing touches on things, so give me a moment if you're here. And if you are here, welcome. Welcome to After the Snap. Uh, this is Film Review Fridays, and this is my first time putting it on all three of my locations here. So, you know, might be a little funky. I might even be looking at the wrong camera right now. So, okay, we got a lot of stuff going on. Welcome back to After the Snap, and I'm your host, Tasha Pierce, and this is Film Review Fridays. This is a new segment for some. If you only have been following me on YouTube, this might be a new segment for you, but it is actually something we had been doing over on YouTube. I'm sorry, on Facebook, Facebook only for a little while. And I said, let's expand this thing. Now, even though I don't have a ton of viewers over on Get Vocal or Play, let's be real, I don't have a ton of viewers anywhere, but I enjoy putting on this show. So I am going to put it on in all three places moving forward. So hopefully you will be able to join me every Friday at 7 p.m. when we talk about a movie and yeah, decide whether we like it or hate it or we're somewhere in between. But this is a discussion, so that means your comments are welcome. The movie that we are covering today is called There's Someone Inside Your House, and it is a Netflix original. So we have, I don't know if you've seen a review I've done, especially on Netflix originals. They're usually very hit or miss with me. Like, sometimes I love them, and other times, most of the time, I literally hate these movies. But you got to keep Netflix because Netflix gives you outstanding series. So, you know, the greater of two evils is I will keep Netflix as long as they excel at giving us good series to watch. But sometimes their movies miss the mark with me. There's someone inside this house is directed by Patrick Bryce. Uh, in the producers comment column, we've got Michael Clear, Michael Clear, Dan Cohen, and Sean Levy, along with horror juggernaut James Wan. Now I know I have a very mixed review, and when it comes to James Wan's movies, sometimes again I hate him, and sometimes I absolutely love him. Uh, but James Wan is a name that is respected in the horror genre. So when I saw all of these things, not to mention it's spooky season, so of course I'm looking for a horror movie to share with you all. Um, I said this is one that I'll give a chance. This is one that I will try. I could have done the James Bond movie. And we will talk about the James Bond movie on the weekly wrap up, which is tomorrow at 3 p.m. And I guess I can do that one in all three places too. We're going to see how that works out tomorrow with the weekly wrap up. But I could just briefly talk about the James Bond movie tomorrow on the weekly wrap up, where we wrap up the week in entertainment. But I can't do a review because it wouldn't even be fair to the franchise. There are like 20 some movies, and this would probably be the second or third one that I have seen, this No Time to Die. And because I'm not up on what's going on in that franchise, it wouldn't be fair of me to try to judge it off of this one movie. There are plenty of people who are watching James Bond, No Time to Die, and I just said I won't throw my hat in that ring. I'm trying to make sure that we are a go on Facebook before I trying to make sure we're a go on Facebook. Let's see. Yeah, I should be. I should be. We're gonna see. So yeah, if anybody is watching over on Facebook, I truly hope yeah, I hope that you are picking up what I'm putting down right now. Let me see what I got. I got a big picture of me. That's not what I'm looking for. Yeah, because I really don't want to. I don't want to miss anybody. And last week I missed my sister's comments on Facebook. Did I? You say you watching me and Foundation at the same time, Reinhardt? Well, you know what? You are a diehard After the Snap fan, and I love you for it. Thank you so much for being here, even though your show is on. So, yep, I see that I've got Facebook going. I got Get Vocal going, and my guy Reinhardt is in the chat. So that means it's time to break into a synopsis of this movie. And this movie, like I said, James Wan is attached to it. So there's high hopes, even though it is a Netflix movie. It was written by Henry Gayden. And Henry Gayden, let's see, I had something about what he had given us in the past. Oh yeah, he's given us Shazam and Earth to Echo. So he is also uh, somebody that we can expect good things from because I don't know about everybody else, but I loved Shazam. I really and truly did. So the synopsis for this movie is Makani Young, who was played by Sidney Park, has moved to Hawaii. Oh, I'm sorry, has moved from Hawaii to quiet small town now. Okay, we're gonna try that again. Makani Young has moved from Hawaii to quiet small town Nebraska to live with her grandmother and finish her final year of high school. But as the countdown to graduation begins, she and her classmates are stalked by a killer intent on exposing their darkest secrets to the entire town, terrorizing every victim while wearing a lifelike mask of their own face. Now, with a mysterious past of her own, Makani and her friends must discover the killer's identity before they become victims themselves. This one was released to streaming straight to Netflix on October 6th, and it runs 1 hour 36 minutes long. So typical made for Netflix movie fare. Along with Sidney Park, we also got Theodore Pellerin and Asia Cooper. And Asia Cooper, I just watched on what was the name of that? Black as Night. The movie I reviewed just the other day that is an Amazon Prime original in conjunction with Bloomhouse Productions. So Asia is becoming a star in these horror films, and I'm here for it. Now, of course, again, it's a teen slasher movie. And what do we look for in a teen slasher movie? We look for teens to get slashed. That is what we're looking for in this movie. And if they give us a good plot, a good story, a good build up to the finale or the final fight, if those things happen, we're usually pretty satisfied with the horror movie. So the question is, Did There's Someone Inside Your House hit the mark? Did it give us all of those things? And if it did it give us any more? Okay, I see that on Facebook I've got Lysandra in the house. And then I've got Reinhardt watching me on Facebook instead of YouTube. Okay, so I got Lysandra and Reinhardt here with me on Facebook. What we got going on? Do we have anything on Get Vocal? Nothing's happening over on Get Vocal. And Reinhardt was the only one that was sitting in my YouTube chat, so we can get this thing going for a little bit. Uh, Asia Cooper, like I said, has starred in this that Amazon movie as well that I really liked. And if you've not seen the video that I posted yesterday on YouTube, it is there for your consumption. A review of that movie and what I really liked about it. And I didn't go into a lot of what I didn't like because there was so much to like. And like I said about horror movies, we are looking for kills. If we get some kills, it's usually we're okay. So, uh, moving on. Between the two of you, or whoever is watching, because if you're watching this on the replay, I'm interested in knowing what is your favorite scary movie. So if you will put that in the chat, we can chat about that for a second before we get into a full-on review of this movie. I'm looking for your favorite scary movie. Does not have to be one of these new ones. Can be something I think we're all old enough that we have been around for some great horror films. Now, for me, I am not the big horror girl. I like scary movies, but when we start getting into gore, I get a little squeamish nowadays. My favorite movie back in the day, and I mean we going way back, of course, is The Exorcist. That is one of, I guess, the all-time greatest scary movies all time. Uh, my sister is still obsessed with that movie. Actually, my sister is younger than me. She watched the heck out of The Exorcist a lot. So here we are, 40 some years later, and that is still one of the scariest movies of all time. The But if we want to go in more contemporary, when I was able to seek out and choose a franchise myself and say, this is the franchise that I am hanging my hat on, it would have had to have been Scream. In 1996, I can truly remember going to the movies to see this. Oh, my brother-in-law is in the YouTube chat, and he said that his favorite is the first Nightmare on Elm Street, and that is a good choice. But I'm going Scream. I remember how I felt when I saw Scream for the first time, and that was I could not wait to go home, get my sister, get the whole little crew together. I think, Raymond, you might have even been with us. Get the whole little crew together and go back so I could see y'all faces when we watched Scream. And this was like my second time seeing it, and it still hit. So Scream is probably where I'm going. Uh, Nightmare on Elm Street was absolutely good, and it actually stands the test of time as well because there are everybody got to sleep. Let me see. Reinhardt over here says, uh, uh, "Oh, I don't know what. Wait a minute." He said, "I still like. I'm going to be just so you know. Oh, just so you know, Tasha. I saw James Bond last night and loved it. Okay. Again, I can't critique that one. I'm gonna have to sit down and give James Bond an awful lot of time because there's 20 some odd movies. I don't want to just drop in at the last minute and try to tell you what I think of a franchise that you've been watching for years. Uh, Lysandra says, I like the one when the little girl kept coming out of the TV. Do not remember the name. Was that The Ring? Or was that Poltergeist? Which one are you talking about? Because I remember, okay, Poltergeist was the one when she put her hands on the TV and was, they're here. Scream was good. Yeah, okay, I'm glad you agreeing with me, Mr. Harris. So yeah, so we all know what we're looking for in a horror movie. And I think it's been a long time since we've seen The Ring. That's what you were talking about, Lysandra. It's been a long time since I've seen or I've had that feeling about a horror movie. And I'm not saying that in this movie there's someone inside your house. I'm not saying that I got that old thing back, but I am saying that it was a decent entry, especially for it being a Netflix original. You know, Netflix originals. I've said it a million times. I'll say it again. They sometimes they ain't what it they not what it do. They just not. Let's see. Reinhardt says, "Get someone inside your house. I'm not saying I would be watching you through Facebook now because I can search things in real time instead of having a bunch of lag." Okay. I think I got what you're saying. I think I know what you're saying. But there's someone inside your house had all the nostalgia of all those favorite '90s era slasher films, but they had, I guess, more contemporary aspects baked in. The performances were decent. The cinematography was well done. The dialogue was believable, but the title was misleading. I assumed that that the movie was called "There's Someone Inside Your House" because there was going to be a lot of people being accosted inside their house, and even watching the first scene, you would have thought that moving forward, oh well, this killer is going to come to their houses and do them in there because their first murder was, hey, I'm home alone and somebody has come in and F things up. Took my alarm clock, made me miss the start of my game, replaced it with this egg timer, and I never got why that he decided to use the egg timer, but okay. But that might have been there. There were several others inside of houses, but it wasn't like I'm gonna stalk you through your house kind of thing. It was just that's where you happen to be when I kill you. Uh, Now, Sandra said, yeah, she said she thought that the killing was going to be in the house a lot too. Nope, they fooled us. Wasn't hardly no killing going on in the house. Um, but yeah, I think so. The title was misleading. I thought the mystery of the Slayer uh, adequately build up the final fight. And that's really, again, all we ask for in these types of movies. Um, we're looking for a plot that moves and a ridiculous kill count. And I think this movie was serviceable in both areas. On top of that, there's someone inside your house. Again, Netflix original. So they just rose my confidence in what Netflix can deliver, not just a horror movie, but in any movie. Because this was decent. I would recommend it. But before we get that far down the line, um, what was different about this film, I suppose, besides me being twice as old as the characters that are in it? Well, not really twice, because like I said, Asia Cooper, who starred in that other movie, the one that was on Amazon, Asia is 28 years old. She is playing teenagers, and she is pulling it off. Like, I would not have thought that child was 28 years old. Maybe, a little older than a teenager, maybe 2021. So, she is definitely pulling off the 15, 16-year-old look really well for her age. But also, this group of teenagers that we're following, this group of outcasts, they don't make them like nerds like they used to back in the day where they all have Poindexter glasses on and nobody wants to hang out with them. These kids seem like they are uh, in any other community, they would be the kids that you'd want to hang out with. And make sure I'm getting my names right, so I'm gonna go to my notes here. Sydney Park, that's who plays Makani Young. So Makani was smart and funny, and she seemed she seemed nice, seemed like a nice girl. Let's see, Asia. The only thing that I could think that would have made her an outcast or kind of somebody that you didn't hang out with too tough in this movie is that she was black. Uh, Zach, his father was like the richest person in town. So you would think in another world that these he would be somebody that everybody would want to hang out with. Now Darby, who was played by Jesse LaTourette, Darby was the one who was transsexual. So that that would kind of make people not want to hang out with him or her. I don't know what was she going by, or was she like non-binary? I don't remember. Do you remember, Bun, if she went by he or she in this movie? Because I don't. But yeah, so transsexual, they can sometimes be the outcast of a group. Then we had who played oh, I can't find the other young man. Well, Caleb was played by Berkeley Duffield. So Caleb was the young guy who was the football player who was gay. You're not sure about that either? I'm not sure. The football player who was gay was Caleb. And there was one more young man in this movie, and I can't remember his name. I'm going to have to let me see. Because now we're getting all into the producers. What was their other friend's name? The one, Rodrigo. And of course, they don't have Rodrigo's real name here where I can give him his credit, but Rodrigo. So he was, I don't really know what his thing was, except for he was maybe Latino, or Latin, not Latina, that's a girl. He was Latinx. The one who was driving the car was Oliver Larson. Now, Oliver, there was a, they stereotyped Oliver, basically. So he was an outcast even from the outcasts. The outcasts didn't even want to hang out with him. And I thought that after we learned that him and Makani were messing around, that was the big secret. That Oliver and Makani's secret was a shared one, and that they were fooling around, and the rest of the school really didn't like him. So that would be the thing that would make the monster or the bad guy come after her. But we find out that Makani even had a darker secret, even though I wouldn't call it too dark of a secret, because what happened with her wasn't her fault. But we'll get into that as we move on through this story. And yes, this is one of the Film Review Friday movies that I'm going to spoil. Because normally I talk in a spoiler-free way, but this is a made-for-Netflix movie. I'm not spoiling one of the big films that come out in theatrical release only on you, but this one we could talk about. This one we could talk about. So yeah, what happened first? The first person in the movie to be killed was a young man. Forgot his name. He was only in the movie for about 7 minutes, so it was easy to forget. What we found out was that he was targeted because in the past, he had kind of hazed the one gay player on their team. This is a high school football team for Osborne, Nebraska. And let me tell you, Osborne, Nebraska looks like it would have been one of the most boring places in the world to grow up. Osborne has a school, as far as we could tell from this movie. Osborne has a school. Osborne has a police department. It has a bunch of cornfields and a school. That's it. That's all. So these kids were pretty much part of a caste system. Like if you didn't have money, it was not an awful lot to do anyway. So what would attract people to you is of course being the beautiful people. And this is high school, so this is what we're talking about. The beautiful people. And when you live in a town that is predominantly white, with absolutely nothing to do, and you're Hawaiian or you're black or you're oh did I crash? If you're Hawaiian or black or any of these things, gay, trans, if you're any of those things, then you will not be considered one of the beautiful people. Unfortunately, it's unfortunate that these kids had to go through this, but this is what they went through. Let's see. Say a lot of drugs and alcohol. Exactly. There's nothing to do. The kids. Let me see. The kids was bored. They was just bored. I'm sorry. I seem distracted. I'm trying to make sure I'm staying on Facebook here. But anyhow, uh, so nothing to do. You're not white. You're not rich. Uh, you don't have the vehicle. It's like one kid in the movie had the vehicle. And wait a minute, I think Bun, when you was asking about the one that was driving, did you mean the one of the clique, McConaughey and Oliver and all of them? Uh, when they not well, Oliver had his own car. Zach had that SUV that kept getting painted. They kept putting that graffiti on it. And yeah, and these are the people who these are the people who are not known to be the most popular. And they sat out McConaughey, Alex, Zach, Darby, and Rodrigo when they saw Caleb start to get ostracized because the big man on the football team had gotten killed because of the way he treated him. They pulled, okay, Raymond, they pulled him into their clique. So now the clique got even bigger. But everybody was wondering, oh, foundation is over. Okay. The one who was with the black girl was Rodrigo. That was that little Hispanic boy. But yeah, he the one that was taking the fentanyl. We'll get to that a little later too. So when his body was found, the young man, the first kill of this movie, there were pictures plastered all over the house of him when he was beating up Caleb. And this is what he got killed for. Now, one of the things that the killer does that is different than most any other kind of horror movie is he wears a mask. I'm just playing. He wears a mask, but it's a 3D printed mask of the person's face who he is targeting. So it's basically like you are forced to look at yourself as you're being killed. And that was symbolic because this killer had a problem with hypocrisy. He did not like the fact that so many people were harboring so many secrets, that they were basically wearing a mask, that they were not who they presented themselves to be. So he presented them with who they really were in their final moment. He put a mask on. he plastered the room or plastered the area with the sin that he feels like they committed, making them look at their sin, look at their own face, and that's the last thing they remember before they die. So I thought that was good symbolism in the movie. And as we move on, you will see why. Uh, so he got killed. The whole school is trying to figure out who did the killing. And there is one student at the school. He's a tall, pale, skinny white boy. He wears all black all the time. And he kind of keeps to himself. He's quiet. So they automatically assume that he is the killer. And not just the beautiful kids, the more popular children, but the kids that are in the same clique as Makani. They all believe that he's the killer as well. I, I'm, I'm, I need to silence my phone completely over here. My family chat going off. But yeah, he is he's been being ostracized even by them. And unbeknownst, again, to all of her friends, Makani and he have a relationship. I want to say that she moved to Osborne, Nebraska from Hawaii to get away from a situation that she had gotten herself in there. And it's possible that the first person she met when she got to Osborne was Oliver, and they became friends. But once you get in school and find out he's not popular, she started hanging out with a group, not the most popular, but they were definitely not as unpopular as Oliver. Not to mention, Oliver is his brother is a deputy in the police, which doesn't make him that popular either, you know. So uh, we think this is a one-off. Somebody just killed the first kill. I forgot his name because he was a bully. It oscillated between we think Caleb did it, but Caleb couldn't have done it because he was on the football field when this thing happened. So they were like, well, we either think Caleb did it or we think Oliver did it. And so because Caleb was on the football field and everybody saw him, they assumed that it was probably Oliver. And moving forward, as each one of these kills happens in this movie, and there were several, which is always good for a horror movie. And another thing about this one, it was bloody kills. So it wasn't over the top violence. It was violent, but it wasn't over the top. It wasn't hyper violent. And they didn't shy away from showing some blood. So if that is a thing that makes you squeamish, this movie probably isn't for you. But if you're okay with it, I'm telling you, it was well done, well used, not over the top, and it was enough to make us feel a little squeamish about what was happening to these kids. Also, keeping in the back of our mind that these are some children that's getting killed in these horrible ways. But yeah, we and I could sit here and beat for beat tell you this movie, and that's what I'm not going to do because I want you to watch the movie if you've not seen it. But I will say that as the movie progressed, the suspect pool was getting smaller because some of those people within these groups were getting offed. They were getting killed, and a lot of them were getting killed for reasons that were somewhat. Let me think now. And I guess I'm thinking Makani. Makani was targeted, and she was targeted because of what she did in Hawaii, what made her move to Nebraska to be with her grandmother, to finish up her high school career and to move on to college. But now what was I going to say? They let me think, how am I going to put it? They didn't necessarily do something that should have been a death sentence. We had one who had drug problem, and it wasn't like I got a crack problem. It was like I have got a problem with prescription medicine. Then there was another who, now she deserved it. She had white supremacist beliefs, and she ran a little podcast anonymously, and that was found out, and that was what made her get killed. And let's see, put it like this: all of these kills are something that these kids today, in the time that we're living in, are facing in their own lives. It's relevant to them. Uh, there have been a lot of complaints, and when we get to Rotten Tomatoes, you'll see what I'm talking about. There was a lot of complaints that this movie was too heavy with the social commentary. But you got to think, when you're in high school, these are the things that you are faced with. This is what informs the social commentary. Of course, you're going to have an opioid addict, because that's what people are dealing with in the real world. They're dealing with opioid addiction. Why wouldn't that show up in the movie? Uh, People are dealing with racism and being ostracized because of that. People are dealing with these white supremacist ideas that are becoming more, I guess it's more normal to hear it. We didn't hear it a lot for a long time. And once the door cracked open on that thing, people have started to talk about to voice their unpopular opinions on race. Uh, that showed up. White privilege shows up. So there is so much social commentary that shows up, because this is the world that these kids live in right now. This is not just something that these writers and the director thought was, oh, I guess people will watch it if we start talking about this. No, that's real to what kids are going through. Because for an example, I was thinking as I was watching this movie, I knew that this was going to catch some flack because of how socially aware it was, but not just because of social awareness, because it's an easy target. It's a Netflix movie. More people had access to it, and by them having the access to it and watching it, I knew it was going to get kind of review bombed, and it did. But when we think about this, when the United States back in 2001 was hit with this terrorist attack, something unprecedented, uh, we was hit with a terrorist attack, and that was an unprecedented thing. Everybody changed their behavior, their language, the things that they were doing to make sure that they were not offending anyone when we are talking about 9/11, right? To the point where, remember the Biggie Small song, Notorious Big song, whatever we calling him nowadays, when he said, "Time to get paid, blow up like the world trade." To the point where that lyric that was said a decade before this even happened, they took that lyric and removed it from the songs because it might have been offensive. So even us, with our culture, and I mean black culture, if you watch this on the rebroadcast, I am talking from a black point of view. When something happened and it affected all of us, black people said it would be probably in good taste to take this lyric out of this song. And we just pretend like we never heard that lyric before. When you hear it on the radio now, even, it's blanked out. So, okay, we can do that. But if we ask the people with these white supremacist ideas, if we ask you, hey, do you mind not calling us this, or not treating us like that, or doing this or doing that? If we ask you to do something that is just in good taste and it's just the decent thing to do, Now you complaining about it. We don't get the same energy. And we can apply the same thing to transsexuals and homosexuals and all of them. When they asking you, hey, do you mind not treating us like shit because of how we were born? Now they getting all this pushback. But we don't give that energy when it's them. We are actually far more understanding uh, of what's going on in the world and how to navigate it without stepping on toes, because we've been taught to walk on eggshells our whole lives. So now here we are walking on eggshells, and in this movie, and just like the world, there's somebody who, just because you're walking on these eggshells, I'm still going to call you out on the least flattering moment of your life. And that is where this movie hit on cancel culture. And I don't know if anybody else is catching all these vibes of all of these different notes that the movie hit. When this guy canceled people for the things that they had done, uh, his cancellation was, I'm going to kill you. That was his cancellation. And he was canceling all of these people. Oh, you a bully? Well, I'm going to cancel you. And my cancellation is, I'm going to kill you. And you accidentally did this. Oh, I'm going to kill you. You got a racist podcast? I'm killing you. That is what cancel culture is in and of itself. I don't agree with it unless a person completely has ignored all warnings. That's not canceling somebody. That's somebody facing the consequences for their actions. For instance, R. Kelly. So that's a person facing the consequences for their actions. But as far as canceling people, just the first mistake that you hear that person made, now you're telling that person that they are no longer a I guess a respectable member of society. And that's wrong. It's 100% wrong. And that is something else that this movie is shining a light on. He is the judge and the jury and the executioner. The killer was. And he's walking around shining a light on these people's misdeeds when he's committing a bigger misdeed. He's killing people. And we get all the way to the end of the movie, to this final kill, and he explains, because that's what killers do in these teen movies. They start the monologue at the end of the movie, and it kind of reminded me of Scream, how he started talking and explaining his evil plan. And he tells you, hey, this last kill, I was supposed to get a lot of gratification out of that, because this was a hypocrite. This is a person who was living one life with all this privilege. Vocal is still on. But okay, we are reconnected. So, where was I? Oh, yeah. So this last kill was supposed to be, this is the cherry on top of my murder Sunday, where I've killed all these people for all of these different reasons, only to end with this person, because this person was a true to life hypocrite. And he had so much privilege and so much money, he thought he could buy his way out of everything. So I'm killing him. And that, to me, is this movie holding up a mirror to our society and the way that we think. And by we, I don't mean, the little group that I've got here. I mean society as a whole. Society as a whole acts as though they have never made a mistake. They have never done something that wasn't quite right. Instead of, now if it was bad enough, punishing them, instead of punishing them and then forgiving them, we say we throw them in the garbage and we're through with them forever. And that is something else that this movie shined a light upon. So, again, there was social commentary in the movie. I don't know how heavy handed it was. I don't know if you guys watched the movie, if you guys caught all of those things that were happening. But yes, definitely, definitely was a socially aware script. Definitely a socially aware group of children. So I said all that to say this. I enjoyed the movie for what it was. Again, a lot of times it's not for my demographic. We can see a lot of the things coming because this movie was made for a younger audience. We have already seen Scream. We have already seen I Know What You Did Last Summer. We've seen these kinds of movies, so we already know the formula. So this is really supposed to be attracting a newer, younger audience. I hope that it did. I'm not sure though. Because when we go over to Rotten Tomatoes, by the way, I'm going to give this one a 3.5 out of 5 because I enjoyed it for what it was. It wasn't the greatest horror movie ever. It wasn't the worst. And by it being on Netflix, I gave it that extra half a point because it was successful. It was successful at what it was trying to do. But when you look over at Rotten Tomatoes, there's someone inside your house got a 51% from the critics. So that's like half and half. Half of them liked it, half of them didn't. But when you look at the audience score, it's a 21%. And I'm not saying that these people are not entitled to like what they like because I'm going to like what I like, right? I'm saying that when you go through the reviews for those people who left reviews, when you go through the reviews, and a lot of them make commentary on the social commentary when that is what they didn't like about the movie, it's telling me that you're punishing the movie because it doesn't agree with your fucked up social commentary. And I can call it fucked up because social commentary is this is a group we are a group of humans trying to live together on this great big blue ball floating around in space. The least that we can do is be kind to one another. And what social commentary does in a lot of instances is inform you on how to be kind, how we want to be treated. And for you to take a movie and say somebody's hard work and say it's garbage because I don't need you to tell me to treat you better. That that to me is the most ignorant reason to to take the time to write a review, to bomb a movie, to let your ignorance show. That is to me what I think was a shame about the way the reviews went for this movie. It could be honest. 21% of the people could honestly be all that found something gratifying in this movie. But when you start to look at the fact that so many of these comments are not about the movie, not about the cinematography, not about the script, there's a lot about social commentary, there's something wrong. There's something wrong because we're expected, and by we, I mean all these marginalized groups. And unfortunately, if you are black, you're marginalized. If you're a woman, you're marginalized. Some of us are not smart enough to realize that we are oppressed as women, and it's equally so if you're black and a woman. If somebody is telling you to shut up, stop talking about what the world is doing to you because it ain't doing it to me, that's an unfair that's an unfair stance. And that is what I saw in a lot of the reviews for this movie. So, I've said what I said. I've talked about there is someone inside your house. I'd like to know what you thought about this movie. If you are watching this on the rebroadcast or if you're watching it along with me right now, give you an opportunity to give me your thoughts in the comments. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about Get Vocal while I'm waiting on a comment, okay? Get Vocal is a platform that allows the viewer. So I'm a presenter. This platform allows a viewer who would like to join in the conversation to grab a spot on the stage and talk. And the way that I plan to use this feature is if I get, if somebody wants to come and sit and add to the conversation on camera through their own camera, of course, they can grab a spot. I'll give a person 3 to 5 minutes to state their case before we have to move on to another viewer. And if there isn't another viewer, then we'll make commentary on what that person had just said or whatever. And if they want to come back, they could come back for another 3 to 5 minutes. We'll rotate the turns like that. But I thought that was a very nice way that this thing is set up where you can be part of the show, especially for the more vocal people. So it get vocal. That's the name of the thing. So if you would are interested in something like that, getvocal.com. You can go to my channel. It's After the Snap, of course. Raymond says he gonna watch it soon and let me know his opinion later. Trey 5, because that's what he do. My sister is the biggest horror aficionado in the world, so I'm pretty sure she gonna watch this movie too at some point. Him and my sister. That's a movie that y'all can get into. And it might be even okay for the kids because, like I said, it's a slasher flick, but it's not aimed at our age group. But it is a decent movie. But yeah, our Get Vocal platform is gonna be there, and as long as until I've given it an opportunity to see if people are going to use it, I'm gonna keep it. If it's not getting used, then I might as well go on to another platform. But I thought that was a very good idea, and again, anybody can join in, and after the presentation. So it would be like, allow me to make the presentation about whatever it is that our topic is for that day. And then if you want to comment on it, you can pop in and do that. Um, Let me see. And if you and then towards the end of our presentations, like for instance, when we do our open chat towards the end of our weekly wrap ups, that would also be a time. If you just want an open conversation, that would be the time that you bring up stuff that is off topic, that is not going, is not going with what we were discussing that day. You can come to Get Vocal, jump on, give your opinion, and jump right back off, and we can talk about it. So you guys let me know what you thought about that. Also, hopefully you'll watch There's Someone Inside Your House, and you will give me your high level thoughts on what you thought of that show. Lysandra said, I thought it was okay. It had you on your toes, wondering who was doing the killing. It also shows you everyone has something to hide. Isn't that the truth? Even the person who was doing the killing had something to hide. He had he was wearing a mask of their faces, and because he had to hide who he was. You know what I mean? So it was actually that was a good observation. Everybody had something to hide in this movie, to include the person who was doing the killing. He couldn't even do the killing as himself. He had to do it with a mask on. So that's To me, there were morals all over the place in this movie. The social commentary, just the internalizing that, hey, everybody got something to hide, and now you got to walk around on your tippy toes and try to try to figure out which secret might be the one that'll get you killed. It was wild. So I appreciate you all for hanging out with me for this film review Friday. It was a little bit different because, like I usually do, theatrical releases. But I said this is a good enough movie. There's another movie that I'll be doing a video review on that was a request from one of my viewers. And that's for a movie called Blood Red Sky. Look for that Sunday or Monday. Now that, I'm not going to ruin it. I'm not going to ruin it. I'm not going to ruin it. I could have done that one for tonight. But I said, I think I might want to talk in a non-spoiler way for sure, because people need to see that movie if they have not yet seen it. I'm telling you to watch it. So that's telling you kind of just a little bit how I felt about it. But yeah, so look out for that movie. And Lysandra said that was good. Yeah. Look out for that that review on Sunday or Monday. I think that it will be it'll be one that you want to add to your spooky season list. It was so well done. I guess I've spoiled how I felt. So join me again here next week. Next week, the movie is, oh gosh, Halloween Kills. Film Review Friday will be about Halloween Kills. So we will continue our trek into spooky season with all these great scary movies that's coming out. And yeah, I'm scared already to go see Halloween Kills because that trailer was something else. But if nobody else has anything for me, just letting you know, Film Review Friday is going to be on Get Vocal, Facebook, and YouTube. We will be covering Halloween Kills. I won't be as impromptu. This time today I was kind of loose. I didn't really script what I'm saying. Next week we're gonna be back to scripting. Y'all have yourselves a great night. Don't forget tomorrow, the weekly wrap up, 3 p.m. Central Time, where we are going to be discussing some shush, namely James Bond, No Time to Die, and if it is living up to the box office expectations. We're also going to be talking about the controversy around the Black Panther set and what's been going on there. And then there's another little controversy around a black Western that's going to be coming out on Netflix. So if you're interested in all of that, plus we discuss the What If finale and this week's episode of DC's Titans. So if you are interested in all those things, thank you. You said Lower Decks was perfect. It was perfect. And I put my review for Lower Decks up, Reinhardt, right before I started on this. So that Lower Decks review, yes, that was a perfect episode. We can talk about that a little bit more tomorrow too. I thank everybody for watching. And if you have watched on the rebroadcast, please don't forget to hit the like and the subscribe button on the YouTube. If you're watching on YouTube, go ahead and follow me on Get Vocal if you're watching on Get Vocal. And if you are watching on Facebook, like me at After the Snap Movies and TV, join the group, the Hangout, and I will see everybody in this here thing tomorrow, hopefully. But if not, next week Friday for Film Review Fridays. I appreciate you. Peace.